They called me the helper. Not their son. Not the one who paid the caterers, booked the hall, or picked up every bill for the last 4 years. Just the helper. At my sister's wedding, I stood behind the scenes, setting tables, moving chairs, making sure everyone else looked perfect. My parents smiled at guests, taking credit for everything. I was just there to make things run smoothly. That's what they told people. He's always been so handy, Mom joked as she pinned a boutonniere on my jacket. Dad laughed. He likes to feel useful. No one mentioned that I paid for the flowers, or the music, or the open bar. No one knew the truth but me. All afternoon, I carried trays and fetched drinks. I didn't sit at the head table. My name wasn't on the program. My sister barely looked at me, swept away in her big day. I just blended into the background, doing what I always did, making sure everyone else was happy. That's how it's always been in my family. It wasn't new. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, I was the helper who made the parties possible. But no one ever said thank you. I could feel it in the way people glanced past me, how my own parents looked through me as if I were invisible. That hollow feeling settled deep in my chest. When the speeches started, Mom stood up, glass raised high. She thanked my sister for being such a wonderful daughter. She thanked Dad for being the best father anyone could ask for. She thanked the guests for coming. But not me. I felt my jaw tighten. The music played, the crowd cheered, and I stayed quiet. My silence grew heavy, filling the room in ways no words ever could. And as I watched my family celebrate, one thought circled in my mind. Ever felt invisible in a room full of people you love? After the wedding ended, I was the last one in the hall. Everyone else had drifted out into the night, full, happy, and proud of their perfect day. I stacked chairs, cleared the last plates. A few crumbs left on the white linen. The sound of laughter echoing from the parking lot. I checked my phone. Not a single thank you message. No one wondered if I'd even made it home. I drove back in silence, watching the city lights blur through the windshield. I remembered every bill paid. Every late-night call when Dad needed just a little extra for the DJ deposit. How Mom's voice softened, only when she wanted something done quietly and fast. I used to think that helping made me part of the family. That maybe if I kept showing up, kept giving, they'd finally see me. But tonight, standing in the empty kitchen with cold coffee and my jacket still on, it finally clicked. They didn't see me at all. Not as a son. Not as a brother. Just the person they called when they wanted things fixed. I glanced at the fridge, covered in photos. Everyone but me. Sister at prom. Mom and Dad at dinner. Birthday parties, family trips. I was always somewhere in the corner, a hand holding a gift, a shadow setting the table. I poured the coffee down the drain and sat on the steps. Quiet house, empty heart. For the first time, I wondered, what would happen if I just stopped? Stopped fixing, paying, making things easy. What if I let them feel the silence I'd been living with for years? A text came in, my sister. Thanks for making everything look great. You're the best. No mention of money. No real gratitude. I smiled at the screen, but something in me hardened. If being the helper meant giving up my self-respect, maybe it was time to be something else. What does it cost to finally choose yourself? I didn't answer my sister's text. For the first time, I let a thank you float into silence. No smiley face, no glad I could help. Just nothing. The next morning, Dad called. He wanted me to swing by and fix the leaky faucet before work. He didn't ask if I was free. He never did. I listened to his voice, calm as ever, as if nothing had happened the night before. I looked at the time. I had an hour before my own shift started. My chest tightened. Old habits flared up. Get in the car. Go help make it easier. But I stood still, staring at the keys on the counter. What if I didn't go? What if I made my own life easier, just once? I texted back, can't today. Maybe another time. I could almost hear the confusion on the other end of the silence. It was the first time I'd said no. No apology, no excuse. For hours, I waited for someone to follow up, to ask if I was okay, to notice the shift. But nothing. No one called. At lunch, a coworker asked if I was all right. Said I looked tired. I shrugged. Just a long weekend with family. She nodded. That'll do it. I realized I'd spent years making sure my family never felt the cracks, never saw the mess behind their perfect life. But I was the one carrying all the weight. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a blank notepad and started adding up numbers. All the money I'd spent. Every bill. Every little thing. That was really everything. The number at the bottom shocked me. Tens of thousands. Gone. Not a loan, not a gift, not even a thank you. It hit me. They'd built a whole world on what I gave and called it love. I pressed my palms against the table. Maybe it was time to take back what I'd lost, starting with my voice. How many chances do you give before you're just enabling the hurt? I kept my distance. Days passed, and I ignored every call about little things that always turned into big asks. A flat tire. A missing receipt. Someone needed a ride across town, again. Each time, my phone would light up, and I'd let it ring out. No more automatic, I'll be right there. No more rushing to their rescue. The silence grew. At first, they tried guilt. Mom left a voicemail. We just miss you around the house. Your sister's sad you're not here. Then came the passive texts. Dad says the garden is a mess. It's just not the same without you. I could almost see them, sitting in the kitchen, wondering what changed. But no one asked why I'd pulled away. They just missed the help, not me. I went to work, did my job, and kept to myself. At lunch, I sat in the park and let the sun warm my face. For the first time in years, I noticed how quiet peace could feel. After a week, Dad finally sent a message that sounded more like an order. Need you to come by Saturday. Lots to do. I stared at it for a long time. This time, I didn't reply at all. Instead, I booked a cheap weekend trip out of town. Just me, no one to help, nothing to fix. A hotel room with a view, quiet streets, and time that belonged only to me. I watched the sunset over the river, letting the feeling sink in. No one called to check on me. No one noticed I was gone. It stung. But the freedom felt real. I walked along the water, wondering what life could be if I stopped playing the part they wrote for me. Maybe I could write something new. Back in my room, I looked at my reflection. No more background character. Not tonight. What happens when you stop being the glue holding everyone else together? When I got home, the voicemails were waiting for me. 4 from Mom, 2 from Dad, and 1 from my sister. Each one was shorter than the last. Mom's voice sounded tight. We're worried about you. You're not acting like yourself. Dad didn't bother with worry. I don't know what's gotten into you, but you need to pull it together. Family sticks together. My sister's message was quiet. I hope you're okay. The house feels strange without you. Mom keeps saying something's off. I played the messages once, then deleted them all. It hurt, but not in the way it used to. Their words felt hollow, like echoes from a life I didn't belong to anymore. The next day at work, I focused on my own tasks for once. No background stress, no text to answer, just me and the rhythm of real life. At lunch, I started thinking about everything I'd made possible for my family. Every celebration, every holiday, every moment that looked perfect, because I'd made it so. And in all that time, I'd never let myself want anything back. Not thanks. Not even respect. After work, I did something I'd never done before. I called the bank. Asked about my accounts, my savings, the credit cards in my name. I found 3 accounts I didn't even remember opening. Ones my parents handled when I was younger. On a whim, I checked the balances. 0. They'd spent it all. For a minute, I just stared at the numbers, feeling anger and relief mix in my chest. Anger for the years lost. Relief that now, at least, I knew the truth. That night, I started making a plan. A simple plan, but for once it was for me. I wrote down what I needed to do. Set boundaries. Close old accounts. Reclaim my own life. As I stared at the list, I felt something shift inside. Maybe it wasn't too late to start over. What would your life look like if you finally put yourself first? The next morning, I made the calls. Closed the old accounts. Canceled every extra card my parents used for emergencies. Set new passwords, ones only I'd know. A banker asked if everything was all right. I just said, it's time I took care of myself. There was a strange calm in my apartment as I finished. No more invisible leaks. No more watching my paycheck disappear before I even saw it. Around noon, Mom called again. Her voice, this time, was sharper. Why isn't the grocery card working? I'm at the store. I paused, choosing my words carefully. Because I closed that account. From now on, I'll handle my own money. She went silent. For the first time, she didn't know what to say. Dad called next. He was angry. This isn't how families work. We trust each other. I took a breath. I've given enough. I need to look out for myself now. He hung up. The house was quiet that night. No messages, no requests. It almost felt peaceful, strange but peaceful. I made myself dinner, turned on a movie, let my mind wander. I thought about all the things I wanted to do, but never did. Trips I put off. Classes I skipped. Dreams I shelved because someone else needed me more. It felt like I'd been standing in the shadows, holding everyone else's spotlight. Now, the darkness was gone. There was just me, the quiet, and a new kind of freedom. I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, my phone stayed silent. No drama. No demands. I went for a walk in the park, breathing in the fresh air, feeling the weight finally start to lift. And in that quiet, a thought surfaced. Maybe family isn't about what you give. Maybe it's about what you're allowed to keep. When was the last time you truly did something for yourself? Without guilt. It didn't take long for the fallout to begin. That weekend, my parents hosted a barbecue, something I used to organize and pay for. This time, they did it all themselves. No fancy food, no decorations, just a few plastic chairs in the yard and a single pack of hot dogs. Neighbors noticed. A couple of old friends sent me texts. Everything okay with your folks? The party looked different this year. I didn't reply. For once, I let the questions pass by. It wasn't my job to fix their image anymore. Later that night, my sister called. She sounded nervous. Mom and Dad are upset. They say you've changed. Did you really cut off the cards? I kept my voice steady. Yes. I had to. She hesitated. They're saying you don't care about the family. I sighed. I cared for years. I just want a life of my own now. There was silence on the line. Then she said, I never knew it was that hard for you. I didn't know what to say. For a moment, I wondered if maybe she could understand. Sunday came and went. No family dinners, no calls. I spent the day in a coffee shop, notebook open, dreaming about trips I could take, things I could learn, a future that was finally mine. I thought about how easy it was for people to take without seeing the cost. How sometimes you have to stop giving just to find out who really values you. A week passed. Dad sent one last message. We'll figure it out. That was all. The world didn't end. No one fell apart. Life moved on, and so did I. For the first time, I looked forward to Monday morning. And sitting at my own table, in my own space, I realized freedom isn't always about leaving. Sometimes it's about finally staying true to yourself. What would your life become if you stopped apologizing for putting yourself first? It's strange how peace can feel so new, even after a lifetime of noise. A few weeks passed, and the space between me and my family felt permanent, not angry, just real. I woke up every morning with a little less weight on my shoulders, and a little more hope for what my day could become. I started small, made breakfast for myself, took slow walks with no destination. I tried a new coffee shop on the other side of town, and sat by the window, just watching the world go by. No urgent texts, no list of chores, no last-minute favors. Just me, and the feeling that maybe this was what freedom really looked like. At work, I picked up extra shifts, not because anyone expected me to, but because I wanted to. My manager noticed. You seem different lately. Lighter. I smiled. I guess I am. One afternoon, I got a letter in the mail, a real one, with my name on it in my sister's handwriting. Inside, a simple note. I'm sorry for never seeing how much you gave. I hope you do something just for you now. I love you. I read it twice. Sometimes, that's all you need. Not money back, not credit for what's gone, but just someone finally seeing the truth. My parents didn't reach out after that. Maybe they didn't know how. Maybe they didn't want to. And for the first time, I was okay with it. I filled my weekends with new things. Signed up for a photography class. Booked a flight out west, somewhere I'd always wanted to go, but never could because someone needed me. On that plane, looking out over the mountains, I realized how much life was left to live. Not for them. Not for anyone else. Just for me. The old story was over. The helper was gone. In his place was someone who knew his own worth. Someone who finally understood that it's not selfish to protect your heart. It's survival. I didn't burn any bridges. I just stopped crossing the ones that only led to hurt. And as the sun set over a city I'd never seen before, I finally exhaled. Some victories are silent. Some goodbyes are gentle. But the freedom that comes after, that's everything.